Welcome to this explainer. Today we're embarking on what I like to call a true hero's journey. Now, we aren't talking about slaying dragons here, we're talking about building a literal empire from the ground up. We're exploring the dynamic, highly rewarding path of becoming a dairy farmer and entrepreneur. I really want you to look at this not just as a standard job profile, but as a seriously exciting entrepreneurial adventure, a place where traditional agriculture meets cutting-edge business management. All right, let's just dive right into it. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll ask, is dairy farming for you? Then we're mapping out your educational pathway. After that, we'll navigate fees and funding, take a look at the work environment and growth, and finally, we'll dive into some real success in the field. Section 1. Is dairy farming for you? The calling. So picture the traditional image of a dairy farmer for a second. You're probably envisioning hands-on animal care, right? Maybe some fresh milk. But behind that traditional image is a whole other story. It's a story of serious entrepreneurial planning, calculated investments, and highly structured educational pathways. Modern dairy farming isn't just about working on the farm. It's this really sophisticated blend of hands-on animal care and sharp modern business acumen. Let's actually break down exactly what a dairy farmer is. By definition, this is an individual who oversees the day-to-day management of dairy cows. But pay really close attention to the crucial second half of this definition, ensuring their health, productivity, and the maximum quantity of milk produced. Right? This is absolutely not passive work. This is highly calculated management. You're essentially optimizing biology and operational efficiency to maximize your output. Put simply, you are the CEO of your herd. So what does it actually take? What are the essential personality traits you need to pull this off? Well, first, you genuinely have to like taking care of animals. That kind of empathy is your absolute baseline. Second, you need a relentless drive to start your own business. And third, and honestly, this is where a lot of people tend to stumble, you need to be excellent at planning and, more importantly, actually working according to that plan. Farming requires strict daily routines. So ask yourself right now, does this sound like you? Because if you're nodding your head, you've already got the foundational traits to succeed here. Section 2. Mapping your educational pathway. The training ground. Okay, let's see how this actually builds, because you don't just wake up one day and become a master dairy entrepreneur, right? There is a logical, structured progression to get there. It starts out with a certificate, completing your 10+2 in the science stream with biology, looking for vocational tracks under the NSQF, the National Skills Qualification Framework. Next up, you could pursue a diploma in dairy technology or animal husbandry. Now, if you want to go deeper, you'd aim for an undergraduate degree, something like a BSc in dairy technology or a Bachelor of Veterinary Science. Quick note here, though, for admission into those agricultural universities, you're likely going to need to clear the ICAR AIIAE. That's the All India Entrance Examination for admission. And finally, for the ultimate experts, postgraduate master's degrees are totally an option too. So where exactly are you going to be doing all this studying? Well, you've got access to elite, highly specialized institutions spread right across the country. We're talking places like the National Dairy Research Institute in Karnal. You've got specialized colleges of dairy technology in Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh, plus major universities in West Bengal and Chhattisgarh. But here's a pretty surprising fact that just goes to show how high-tech this field has become. Even the Indian Institutes of Technology, the famous IITs in Delhi, Hyderabad, and Guwahati, they actually offer pathways relevant to this industry. The academic infrastructure supporting your journey is just massive. Moving right along to Section 3, navigating fees and funding, tools and tests. Look, every hero's journey has its obstacles, and for a lot of folks, it's this initial baseline investment. The approximate course fee for a bachelor's degree ranges somewhere between 20,000 to over 2 lakh rupees. Postgraduate courses sit in a pretty similar bracket, starting around 30,000 and going up to 2 lakhs. Obviously, these numbers are going to vary from institute to institute, but this gives you a very realistic target of what you need to prepare for. Now, hey, if those numbers just made your heart skip a beat, take a deep breath. There is some seriously robust financial support available out there. Just look at these government scholarships. You have the National Scholarship Portal, which is basically a central hub for all sorts of government schemes. Then there's the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, offering schemes specifically for skill development in areas like dairy farming. And definitely do not overlook the National Agriculture Market, or ENAM, which provides scholarships directly for students pursuing education and entrepreneurship in agriculture. The money is absolutely out there if you just know where to look. And beyond scholarships, education loans are highly accessible. The Vidyalakshmi portal is an absolute must-know here. It was actually developed specifically for students seeking education loans, under the guidance of the Ministry of Finance. On top of that, certain states like West Bengal, Odisha, and Bihar offer student credit cards with very low interest rates. And of course, your major banks provide standard education loans too. The main takeaway here is really simple. Your financial situation should not be the barrier that stops you from starting this adventure. Section 4. Work Environment and Growth, the Upward Trajectory. Once you enter the field, there are really two distinct paths you can walk down. On one hand, you have corporate and cooperative environments. Think big dairy product companies or massive co-op organizations. In that world, you're likely working as part of a team, often in a structured shift system, maybe on a contractual basis. It's stable. It's routine. But on the other hand, we have true entrepreneurship. This is a dynamic field job. You are starting your own business, handling a team of field workers, and facing the unpredictable but highly rewarding challenges of being your own boss. So how exactly does that entrepreneurial path evolve? Well, there's a highly structured, expected growth path. You start on the ground as a dairy farmer and entrepreneur. Then, as your operation grows, or maybe your role within a larger organization grows, you step up to become a dairy supervisor. From there, you scale those management skills to become a dairy manager, and the absolute pinnacle, becoming a full-fledged dairy owner. You see, you aren't just stuck in one role forever. You're actively climbing a ladder of increasing responsibility and scale. Finally, Section 5, Real Success in the Field, the Reward. All right, let's talk numbers. The expected income for a dairy farmer right now ranges from around 8,000 to 1 lakh rupees per month. Now, that is a massive range, right? But honestly, that's exactly the point of entrepreneurship. Where you land on that spectrum depends heavily on whether you're just starting out as a shift worker or if you're successfully managing and scaling your own independent, booming dairy operation. When you bring all these concepts together, your education, your work environment, your funding, it proves that this whole system is really designed for upward mobility. It's not just some theory in a textbook. This is the structured, on-the-ground reality of the agricultural sector today. And look, if you want hard proof of how education directly impacts your success in this field, let me tell you a quick story about Maheshbhai Moffatbhai Solanki from the Khada district of Gujarat. Back in 2018, Maheshbhai decided he wanted to build his capacity, so he took a training course with the Agriculture Skill Council of India. Now, before that training, his annual net income was about 74,880 rupees. But after gaining those targeted skills, his annual net income absolutely skyrocketed to 352,320 rupees. Guys, that is nearly a five-fold increase in income just by applying structured educational training to his dairy farming. That is the true power of this path. So, we've covered the traits you need, the education you've got to conquer, the financial tools at your disposal, and those incredible financial rewards waiting at the finish line. The entire blueprint is right here. The only question left is, are you ready to take that first step on your own hero's journey and build your business in the dairy industry? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.